The royal family's wealth is estimated to be collectively about $442 million, which sounds pretty conservative. I think when you think of the royal family and their wealth and their gems and their art collection and their palaces, remember not all of them are owned by them personally, you'd be putting them into a billionaire category. Part of the problem with estimating the royal family's wealth is that no one really knows the true value of those priceless canalettos hanging in Buckingham Palace or indeed the royal collection. But I think people also assume that things like the imperial state crown and the crown jewels that we've seen in recent days belong to the Queen and her family. They do not. They belong to the nation. It gets very tricky when you try to break down the royal finances and work out exactly how much they are worth. But what we do know is that the Queen passed on the Duchy of Lancaster estate to King Charles, and that is worth anything between 715 and up to 900 million pounds. It's a huge amount of money because, quite simply, it is a massive swathe of land and premium real estate around the United Kingdom. In terms of her property portfolio, well, the Queen privately owns Balmoral, she privately owns Sandringham, but the other royal estates, namely Clarence House, Buckingham Palace, Holyrood House in Scotland, they are owned by the nation. I think the Queen was actually a very canny businesswoman. I mean, let's not forget that she changed the way the royal family were financed. She voluntarily paid income tax on her earnings, thus really diverting any criticism over the wealth of the royal family. And she got expenditure down to the royal family essentially costing each member of the British public less than £2, so less than, say, $4. I think most people would argue that's pretty good value for money. When you think about the royal family, it's hard to put a price on them. I mean, we actually can because we know what they cost us, the British taxpayer, in terms of security and arrangements and expenditure through the year. That's less than £2, so say around $4. What it's harder to put a price on is what they generate for the country. You know, Monarchy PLC as a business, well, that's priceless. Another area where we saw the Queen really show her business acumen was in opening up the palaces. It was clever for two reasons. One, it made the royal family more accessible, more relatable, and in turn more popular. But secondly, it earned a huge amount of money. I would imagine that with the king, it'll be, again, his flunkies who pull out the credit cards or the cash. I remember on one occasion being in Malta with Charles and Camilla on an official engagement, and I found myself in a bizarre situation shopping in a glass shop with Camilla, and she was picking out all these beautiful glass Christmas trees as presents to take home. So I copied her. And when we got to the till, realised that I was the one with the money. And of course, she stood there while a flunky moved in and a deal was struck. The money, or however it was handed over. But it was very apparent to me there and then the royals do not carry cash. When you look at the main financial picture for the royal family, the assets are land. The assets are Regent Street and the most expensive streets in the capital. And that land is divided between the Duchy of Lancaster, which is the sovereign's estate, and the Duchy of Cornwall, which has now been inherited by Prince William. What does it mean? Well, essentially that the royal family is very, very wealthy. There has been a lot of scrutiny over the royal family's wealth, particularly with regards to some of the crown jewels and the jewellery that the Queen has been gifted or inherited over the years. And along with calls for reparations for slavery dating back to colonialism, there have also been calls from South Africa, from India, to return some of the diamonds, the rubies and the stones gifted to the Queen, some of which are set in priceless pieces of royal paraphernalia, for these to be returned to their home countries. I think when it comes to dismantling crowns and taking apart priceless pieces of the royal collection, I think it's particularly troublesome times ahead.